My parents had been searching tirelessly for a house to rent. They needed one that was not only affordable but also close to my school and Dad's office. The search felt endless, as every option we found was either too far or not good enough. Then, one evening, Dad came home with a big smile and announced that he'd finally found the perfect place. It was spacious, affordable, and just a short drive from my school. At first glance, everything seemed ideal. But there was one thing about the house that immediately unsettled me: an old, abandoned house loomed eerily behind it. From the moment we moved in, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. My room, unfortunately, was located at the back of the house, giving me a clear, uninterrupted view of the abandoned property. Through my window, its peeling paint, broken windows, and overgrown yard looked straight out of a horror movie. I hated it. Mom, couldn't Dad find another house? Why do I have to stay in this room? I can see that creepy house from my window, I complained one afternoon while helping unpack. Mom sighed and gave me her usual practical reply. Annie, do you have any idea how hard your father worked to find this place? Stop being dramatic and focus on getting your room set up. You'll grow to like it. I muttered under my breath, knowing there was no point in arguing. Deep down, I knew Mom was right. It wasn't like we had a lot of options. Begrudgingly, I arranged my room, trying to avoid looking out the window as much as possible. Still, the sight of that abandoned house gnawed at the back of my mind. A few days passed, and slowly, I adjusted to the new house. My unease about the abandoned house faded, though I couldn't completely ignore it. Then, one night, something happened that changed everything. It was around 9 p.m., and I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone. The room was quiet, except for the faint hum of the ceiling fan. For some reason, my eyes wandered to the window. That's when I saw it, a figure, standing in the top floor window of the abandoned house, staring directly at me. My heart stopped. I sat up straight, squinting to make sure I wasn't imagining things. The figure was still there. It was too dark to make out any details, but I could feel its gaze piercing through the glass. A chill ran down my spine. Mom screamed, bolting out of bed and running to her room. She opened the door, startled. Annie, what's wrong? Why are you shouting? There's someone in the window of that abandoned house. I swear I saw someone. Mom frowned, looking more annoyed than concerned. Annie, it's late. You've been watching too many scary movies. There's no one there. No, Mom, I'm serious. Please come look. Reluctantly, she followed me to my room. I pointed to the window, but the figure was gone. Mom sighed. See, there's nothing there. You probably imagined it. Now go to sleep, you have school tomorrow. I tried to protest, but she wasn't having it. Frustrated and still shaken, I crawled back into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin. I kept glancing at the window, half expecting the figure to return, but the rest of the night passed uneventfully. The next night, it happened again. This time, I saw the figure much more clearly. It was tall, with unnaturally long limbs, and its face was pale, almost ghostly. It stood in the exact same spot, motionless, staring straight at me. My stomach twisted in fear. Mom, come here, I yelled, my voice trembling. She rushed in, irritated. Annie, what now? Look. There's someone there. I told you I wasn't imagining it. But by the time she looked, the Figure was gone again. Mom's face softened slightly, but she still dismissed my fears. It's probably just some kids playing a Halloween prank. Don't let it bother you. I wasn't convinced. Whoever or whatever was in that house wasn't a kid playing a prank. I was sure of it. That's when I decided I needed to find out the truth. The next night, I made up my mind. I was going to the abandoned house to catch whoever was messing with me. Armed with a flashlight and my phone, I slipped out of the house around 9:30 p.m., making sure Mom and Dad were more ominous up close. Its broken windows and rotting wood seemed to whisper warnings, urging me to turn back. But I couldn't. I had to prove to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. I pushed open the creaky front door and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and the floorboards groaned under my weight. The house was eerily quiet except for the occasional sound of wind whistling through the broken windows. I shone my flashlight around trying to steady my breathing. The living room was empty, its walls covered in peeling wallpaper. An old staircase led to the second floor. My heart pounded as I climbed the stair, each step echoing loudly in the silence. When I reached the top, I saw it, the room with the window that faced my house. The door was slightly ajar and a faint light flickered inside. My hands trembled as I pushed the door open. The room was empty. No furniture, no people, nothing but shadows. I shone my flashlight around, my eyes darting to every corner. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Footprints leading to the window. Who's there? I called out, my voice shaking. No response. I stepped closer to the window, my heart hammering in my chest. Suddenly the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, dropping my flashlight in the process. The room plunged into darkness. Panic set in as I fumbled for the flashlight. My hands were shaking so badly that it took me several tries to pick it up. When I finally did, I shone it at the door, but it wouldn't budge. No matter how hard I pulled or pushed, it refused to open. Let me out. Please, someone help me, I screamed, pounding on the door. Then I heard it. A low guttural laugh, coming from somewhere in the room. My blood turned to ice as I whipped the flashlight around, searching for the source. The laugh grew louder, echoing off the walls. Who's there? What do you want? I demanded, my voice cracking. The laugh stopped abruptly, replaced by a chilling silence. Then a voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." Before I could react, the flashlight flickered and went out, plunging me into total darkness. I could feel my chest tightening as fear consumed me. My only thought was to get out of there no matter what. I groped around in the dark, desperately trying to find another way out. My fingers brushed against the cold glass of the window. Without thinking, I pushed it open and climbed onto the ledge. Below me was a drop into the overgrown backyard. It wasn't far, but the thought of jumping terrified me. Behind me, I heard footsteps approaching, slow and deliberate. I didn't wait to see who or what it was. Summoning all my courage, I leapt from the window, landing awkwardly on the ground below. Pain shot through my ankle, but I didn't care. I scrambled to my feet and ran as fast as I could back to my house. When I burst through the door, gasping for breath, Mom and Dad were already awake, concern etched on their faces. They demanded to know where I had been and why I was so frantic. Through sobs and gasps, I told them Everything. Mom's face paled, and for the first time I saw real fear in her eyes. Annie, you shouldn't have gone there, she whispered. From that day on, I never looked at the abandoned house again. But sometimes late at night I still feel the weight of that unseen figure's gaze lingering just beyond my window.